call the meeting to order at 4:01. And we have some people joining us. Would anybody want to have a discussion? Anything you need to want to ask us? No? Okay, all right. That's your time. Approval of the previous minutes.
I'll approve.
Okay, all right, I second it, so that's taken care of. Oh, and I didn't say the time, yeah, that just starts 4:01.
Yep.
And financial manager's report is next.
Yes, good afternoon.
And well, and thank you for being here today.
Yes. Okay, it didn't rain on the way up, so that was a bonus. Excellent. Yes. Oh, thank you. Today we have May warrants that total $67,380.61. The total for payroll is $22,449.86. That includes Chief Carlton's salary of $6,863.37, along with Chief Shield's pay of $3,675.69. And there was one event for each of the commissioners and the board secretary. The total payout for the volunteers, including the warrants, is $19,662. And the April financial statements have been handed out to the board for review. So today I'm requesting the board's approval for the warrants and payroll for May in the amount of $89,830.47.
And and I second it. And we don't have any questions about it. I think we do. We need to have. I don't have it in front of me, but the amount of. Are there any questions about the various items on our list? Do you have any questions? No. Any of these? No, nothing. Okay.
I'm happy to review.
Please do. That would be great. Thank you.
Patty, do you want to do your budget remaining?
Yes, thank you. As of April 30th, 2025, we had 68.32% left of budget, and that was compared to 69.90% the previous year.
So just to review the big ticket items, Day Wireless, obviously that was for our new radios and their installation. So that will be directed out of capital as well. Washington Commissioners annual dues. So that's the Whatcom County FARS. That's our radio system dues. Even though we have our own radio system here in Point Roberts utilizing the Whidbey Telecom Tower, we still have to pay into the Whatcom County radio system because obviously our dispatching comes from Prospect, which is in Bellingham, and that's the fire dispatch side. And then that helps maintain our secondary towers. If something happened to our main tower here in Point Roberts, then we would be dispatched off of Sumas, Galbraith, 8th Street in Blaine, one of those other towers that we would be using at the time. So we had a pretty good increase in the annual dues this year for FARS, and that was an increase on everybody throughout the county. So the credit card, Blue Card Command is just that. It's our command system that we utilize in Point Roberts and that we certify our officers and members in. Life Assist is who we purchase our medical equipment from. Puget Sound Energy is 3,083. That's our energy, obviously, to the fire station. And I was behind, I think, one payment. So that's why that is 3,000. It's usually around 2,000 mark. EMT and fire training, that is for another EMT or advanced EMT to be trained. And then we had hen nozzles. We have two new nozzles that we put on. One is a wildland nozzle, and the other one is a frontline structural attack nozzle. and the head nozzles give us a different pattern, better coverage, fuller coverage going down hallways. Happy to demonstrate those if anybody's wanting to see how that product works. And then Carl Mower and Saw, every year I go down and get our equipment maintained. And then this year I bought another clipper for the fire station and also an electronic weed blower for the fire station. So that's added to that cost. And I'm happy to take any questions.
No.
What's your car doing?
Say that again.
How's your car doing?
My car, that'll come up in the Chiefs, and I'll let you
Okay.
know what's happening to my car.
Okay. I worry about that. Any questions? No. Okay.
No.
Thank you, that was very helpful, Chief. Okay, correspondence, do you have any, is there any correspondence this year?
Yeah, we had a really, really nice card. I'm happy to share that with you from the family who lost a loved one over off Lily Point, and they were very happy with the service that they received. But they sent us a very, very nice card.
That's great. Thank you. Good job with them.
Commissioner, I have just one other item
Oh,
under D5.
okay,
Just real quick, I need to request a void cancel warrant for warrant number 012555763. That was dated April 22nd, 2025. Neon Company for insurance in the amount of $77.49. We have the original check, however, the invoice ended up being due prior to receiving the warrant from the county, so the chief ended up paying it on the district credit card.
oh,
So I just need the board's approval in order to return it back to the county and void it.
okay, so I move that we credit back the, number 012555763. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
For 7749.
7741?
49.
49, okay, 7749. Okay. I moved in a second, pass. Okay, anything else, Patty?
No, that's all.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'll
No.
jump away from you. Okay, chief's report. Chief, I think I should tell you, you're upside down on our monitor.
I don't, not sure how that's working, but. Okay, this is the Chief's report for the month of May for April of 2025. Point of information, I think most of our public knows that we had a issue with the medical examiner when they do not take jurisdiction of someone who has passed in our community. They were not helping us contact Canada Public Health, PHAC, Public Health Agency of Canada, to get permission to transfer loved ones' remains across the international border back down to the county. And we have now come to a collaboration after some additional discussions. And they have paperwork and a process in place that hopefully we will never have to be dealing with a delay in getting loved ones' remains taken to a funeral home down in the county. This might also extend to Canadians who pass away in our community. We did have a Canadian pass away within the last month and a half, and we were able to get the body directed back to Canada without going through the Whatcom County process of Bellingham or a funeral home there. So I'm hoping that we will be able to do that from this point forwards, that if we do have a Canadian that passes away in the community, we'll be able to get them directly transported back into Canada. And then anyone who is a U.S. citizen directed to Whatcom County to a funeral home there. So it's a plus. Right now, there's a collaboration. We have not had a person pass since this collaboration has gone into place, so we haven't been able to test it yet. And I'll keep you updated if there's any additional issues in the future. Apparatus, everything's good. I still have airbag electrical issues. It's just an indicator that it states service my airbag. I just replaced both batteries in my vehicle as well. And otherwise it's running good. It has almost 190,000 on it, and I would like to take it to 200. And I'm sure it'll get there. So around 200, most likely I'll start looking for a potential replacement for it, and start looking at state bids, etc. But at this point, the airbag is it's an indicator light. They state all my airbags are okay, and it's just an intermittent light that I'm having. But overall, after I got the batteries replaced, it seems to be running pretty well. Member roster is 47, 34 dual Canadian, 12-point Roberts, and 1 county. We have 1 paramedic, myself. We have 10 EMTs, which have 4 advanced EMTs. Out of those 10, 1 RN, an ambassador, and 37 firefighters. Our RN is on maternity leave at this point. And it's Sarah Viant. Trent Viant got hired with North Wacom, but he's still serving the agency too. Volunteer hours, 2,830.5. Volunteer payroll, 17,929 if all volunteers were getting paid. Combined chief hours, I worked 160.5. Assistant Chief Shields was at 100 for a total of 260.5 hours between the 2 chiefs. Total calls for the month of April, 40. EMS calls, we had 13. We transported 2 people to the hospital. Airlift, Northwest, our air medical transport came in 3 times for us. We had 7 no transports and 1 transfer to North Wacom Fire Rescue. The home care program, EMS Cares, we had 7 calls there. We had 1 agency assist and 9 public service calls. Fire classification, we had 10. We had 1 permitted and 2 illegal burns. We had 1 smoke investigation, 6 false alarms. And I think that's it. 1 animal rescue. Sorry, 1 animal rescue in there too. So that completes my chief's report for the month of May for April of 2025, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
No.
How about Norm? We've been ignoring you up there. I'm sorry. Do you have any questions?
No questions.
You have anything to offer?
Not today.
Okay, so, thank you, Chief. We'll move on to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business? I don't think so.
No.
Okay. All right, Chief, you have anything? Okay, all right. Nothing, all right. Moving on to new business. So, Chief, do you want to speak to this or are you? You're gonna talk about it. Okay,
Sure, just give me the first item on the agenda. Sorry.
the additional building on site.
Yeah, okay, so I'll start there.
Okay.
So we hired King Architects down in Bellingham, Fairhaven area to do preliminary work on potentially building another building next to the clinic in that open area between the clinic wall and the new radio tower. And they have designed that out. They've given us the drawings. The reason for this building would be is that we've reached our maximum potential for storage inside our current building. As you've been shown, our ambulance parking is less than appropriate, less than what's the right word that I'm looking for? Less than
Adequate.
adequate. Yes, adequate. Thank you. It's my dementia setting in, so I appreciate that. Um, Less than adequate, and we don't have any really room to walk in between the ambulances and stuff, as you guys have been showing in the bay. So the building would be an option. We don't have to move forwards with it immediately, but I would say if that we do plan or we have a good indication that that building would be needed for additional storage of apparatus and just storage of equipment, appliances, etc., that we would get the county process completed with the permitting and everything else. Now, King Architects has given us a proposal. I believe it's around $80,000 to um, formalize the drawings, get all the permitting completed through the county, if state permitting is necessary too, but definitely through the county, and to handle everything for us. And again, I believe I haven't looked at it for a little while, but I believe it's around the $80,000 mark. Obviously, the building's going to probably be a half a million, is what I'm projecting, 400 to 600,000. The King Architecture sees that as probably a $600,000 building, because of prevailing wage, etc. Now, the steel building itself is only around 50,000. So it comes into the concrete and everything else. We're not going to have any water over there. We wouldn't have any offices, no bathroom, no nothing. It would just be a metal building to, it would obviously have some heat and most likely an extraction system for exhaust, which also adds to the cost. But that's where we're looking. So second, so that's where I'll leave that. Do I have any questions?
You were looking at another side, did that one just, did you go away?
No. So what is can I know what the second and third items are on new business?
Oh,
Life
the,
park.
the life pack monitoring, a donation.
Yeah. And then what's the last one?
And, contact with fire marshal's office.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'll go into a building has been offered to us to store one of our engines, and that is over by the Blackfish Resort. And they would be offering that to us $1,000 a month, all inclusive, and that would include electricity and everything. We would need to have a contractor on that. So $1,000 a month versus half a million. Most people can do the math there. It's less impactful on our capital reserves at this time as well, because I still need to replace our second ambulance. That is something that still needs to be completed, and replace our white ambulance with a new ambulance as well. So $1,000 a month is much more palatable, obviously, all inclusive. It would give us additional storage area. We would most likely put an engine over there, 5803, which is our small, big one, and that would free up that bay. So what we would do is most likely move our new engine, engine 58, the little one, over to that bay, and then be able to split the two ambulances side to side versus front to back. And that would solve our storage issues with apparatus at this point. The indication comes that if we needed a third engine on scene, then people would definitely need to have that access. I'm sure we could probably put in a combo lock over on that structure if we paid for it, so people would have the combo and not need a key over there. It is up for sale. The Blackfish Restaurant is up for sale. He does not know how long it'll be up for sale, so this would be a month to month type of contract, and dissolvable by either party at any time within 30-day notice, most likely. So that's an option for us. Right now, it's good weather. You know, there's not a problem with, having things out during the day and, when it's nice and sunny. But come winter, I mean, as you've seen, the ambulances are touching, the bumpers are touching. We basically have, John, would you agree? We probably have 4 inches or so at the front.
I would say about,
Say that again.
I would say about that, about 4 inches of clearance.
Yeah, we don't have any room to the rear. We have bumper to bumper. We pulled our second ambulance in forwards, so the bumpers are to bumper bumper as we back in our newest ambulance, and then we have 4 to 6 inches to the front of it for the door to close, but not enough for a person to walk around um, without having to step over the bumpers on the rear. So that's where we're at there. We have been offered that space, and it would just be an approval by you, the board, to allow me to expend those funds on a monthly basis for as long as it lasts, or we choose that we don't need the space anymore, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm happy to answer any questions regarding that.
No, I don't have any questions. If you have it over there for 2 or 3 months, that's not a very long time, but it would give you a chance to do something different. I'm wondering, how do you feel about the process of putting something there and then being told, well, it's sold and you have to leave?
Well,
Um,
yeah, I don't know if I really have an issue with that. I mean, right now, what we have works, but it's not optimal. It's not safe for our people to be climbing over bumpers and stuff like that, to get to another side of the ambulance, et cetera. But we haven't had any injuries. We haven't had any issues. And $1,000 is $1,000, right? Um, but it's not 500,000, for a new building. Now, going back to the new building, if we would choose to do that, that would solve our storage issues with apparatus. We'd be able to probably put the van inside, maybe even the brush truck inside, along with the 2 engines over there. And it would potentially get all of our apparatus inside to where our brush truck, we wouldn't have to take out the skid. But again, that's not a big problem either. It's easy to do for the winter because we don't want it to freeze. And that's our wildfire skid that we push into the back of that truck for the summer. So, I mean, we're at right now, by inches, it works. But if I buy a new ambulance, it's not going to work. The new ambulance will most likely be longer than our white one at this point. And if that's the case, then we don't have the space to get a new ambulance for our second rig out. Now, people go, well, why would you replace, the second ambulance when you just bought a, brand new one because of an accident? And it's like, well, the reason why is because our second ambulance is a 1991. It has no airbags up front. It has no safety features in the back. Its box is probably cracked in areas that we can't see just because of the age itself. They won't refurbish a rig that old, so I can't send it somewhere for 150,000. I can't send it somewhere to get it refurbished, a new chassis, because they don't refurbish anything really older than 2007. So even our red ambulance was on the cusp of being able to be refurbished and remade for a cheaper price than buying new. So I don't even have that option with our white ambulance. So it's a true replacement that we would have to do there. So a new building solves all our issues, but I'm just not comfortable with our capital reserve capacity at this point. I would like to build it up a little bit more before we decide to make that type of move with such an extended cost to that. But people will say, well, it's cheaper to build now than it will be in the future, and everybody's probably right about that. Our biggest issue right now would probably be concrete with what's going on politically. Trying to get that across the border, but that'll be one of our biggest expenditures on that building would be the concrete. So, right now it works. Right now it works. These are just options that are out in front of us. Obviously, the most expensive one is a new building, but we wouldn't be building that until next year anyway, because we don't have enough time to build it this summer and to get it all permitted. Permitting will probably take 4 to 6 months. The county stated that they would work with us as quickly as possible since we are an emergency services agency. But we don't know what type of drain field or if we can share the drain field with the um, water district. We might be able to collaborate or partner with them for runoff purposes. We won't know that until we would choose to utilize King Architecture out of Bellingham and have them finalize the project for us and get the permitting. Now, I believe the permitting is good for, John, can you help me? Is it good for a year or?
It's right there. How long is the permitting good for? You have to show productivity in 180 days.
So half a year,
Yeah.
we could, we could put in for extensions, et cetera, et cetera, and I'm sure we would be provided those. Uh, so that's, do we choose to move forwards with a $80,000 expenditure to finalize the building, the drawings, get those approved by the county, make sure everything's in place, to when we choose to build that building. But I think it's too soon, in my opinion, to make that decision, because things are working by inches right now, and it's definitely not optimal for my people. But $1,000 a month to move one of our fire trucks over to another building, that's still accessible by our people, accessible for incidents, for calls, etc. Um, that's much more plausible or palatable for me at this point if we wanted to even make that move. So I'm happy to bring this back next month, because right now the weather's good. We're doing okay, but it's just a matter of time when somebody backs up and crunches both ambulances because they back up too quickly, and they end up hitting something. It's just a matter of time when you have ambulances that are basically sharing a rear bumper.
Yeah. Norm, do you have any questions?
No, he answered the question I had, and that was how long does it take to actually build the thing out entirely? So, my opinion is to actually get started at least at some point because you just don't know what can happen and what we're left with. At least we know the cost up front at this point. So uh, my opinion would be to actually start the process.
I have a question in terms of how do you feel that is the most logical thing to do to not take the space, rent the space right now, wait for a couple of months, and if it's still available, then do it? Or do you want to have it right now to get everything over there so that people are not stumbling over the backs of the other ambulances? What is your feeling?
Sure, for practical purposes, is to get one of the rigs over to this new building to free up space and improve safety issues around our ambulance bay and et cetera, and ease of getting into the rigs and getting them back in and not having to worry about hitting something. So I think that's the most accurate, for us, for a better term, to be able to spend $1,000 a month, get it over to this new building. Now, he may sell it, in 2 months, and then we're back to where we are, in a not the best situation, but again, it works. And it's just extremely, extremely tight. And anybody can come over and take a look at how our ambulances are backed in to each other, and the lack of space that we have to validate any type of questions that they may have. But again, a building is a big purchase, and I would like to, I think, build up, for a new building, I'm thinking at least a year out for a new building, maybe 2 years. What does that do for our future? That solves everything, in my mind, of future apparatus that are going to be purchased that need a larger garage door, let's say, because new apparatus, it's hard to find new apparatus below 10 feet. And that's what our doors are, is they're 10 feet. You usually have to go custom, which then that adds to the cost of a new apparatus. Um, Probably adds 20-30% to the cost just to go custom chassis to that. And now, new apparatus engines, you're looking at, right now I have a bid into AFG, an application into the fire grants, for $900,000 for a new fire truck to replace our big one in the other bays, because of the water capacity that it has on it. So we're looking at $1 million, for a new fire truck. And it's just people, have difficulties understanding how fire trucks are, costing so much money, but it's supply and demand. And even if we ordered it and it was built for us, we wouldn't see it for 2 years. And that's a
Yeah.
minimum. So we'd pay $1 million and then we wouldn't see the product for 2 years or three,
Wow.
at this point. So uh, that's where we're at. Again, I think to free up space and to give us a little bit more breathing room, going with the building over at Blackfish for whatever component of time that it provides, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think it's a good thing for the members of the agency having more space, availability around the apparatus, and a safer environment for them. So if that was approved, the whole perspective with King Architect moving forwards with that. Uh, Again, it's about an $80,000 cost is what they've put forth on handling all of the permitting, the final drawings, runoff, everything like that. Getting all that put together for us. And I would get a specific list, and that's kind of broad what I'm saying. So I would definitely want to know exactly what's being done by them and the guarantees that we have. Now, once they get that done and they start the permitting process, let's say we get permitted before the end of the year, that gives us until next summer to do it. And I just don't know if we have enough reserve capacity yet.
Since this is the middle of the month, what if we, have you move or, see if we can start at the beginning of June?
Mhm.
And do it month by month, if that seems reasonable.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'd like to. Does Chief Shields have anything to add on this?
Before we move forward, let me check one other place, that I know there's another big, commercial building that's just, come available. I'll have to call the owner and see if he's willing to give us some space there.
And would that be something that 5803 can fit in, John?
It's the, big warehouse up at, where Point to Point, parcel used to be.
Oh,
And it actually has drive-through bays, so it has, 14-foot doors on both sides of the building, so you can drive through it.
yep.
Yeah, so as long as it'll fit 5803. The other thing is it doesn't have an exhaust system. The building down at down at Blackfish, in my mind, would we have to be careful with our exhaust system because it can damage the inside of a structure, and it can put diesel exhaust on the walls and be unsafe. So my feeling is, I mean, if that's a nice building, I probably would say no to the one up at Point to Point, because it's probably going to blacken and damage that building. I wouldn't be so concerned of that doing a metal building, down at Blackfish, down there. So that's something I'm willing to look at. I'm happy to have our legal counsel draw up a contract, talk to Chief Shields more about this, take a look at the other building potentially, and then make a final decision on that, and then move forwards to potentially a June 1st start. on whatever space we choose. But again, we have to think about the diesel exhaust and the potential, the potential that that has to affect the building that we're storing in.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you don't want to make this decision, we can't make this decision today. And we won't be able to make another decision until we meet again, unless we have a special meeting, which we could do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could give me the guidance to solidify a contract with one of the two structures and move forwards for a June 1st start. Also, give me the guidance to do nothing, so I could have both choices and then let you know what was decided in the following month. But I would need to have permission to move forwards with our legal counsel for a contract in either case. But uh, I may come back next month and tell you that we did nothing and we're in the same situation.
Well, how about we let you do whatever you feel is appropriate to get started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, do you agree with that? How do you feel about that? Are you
Yeah.
so, all right, so we've given you permission to
Okay, I
do
appreciate that.
whatever.
And it may not be nothing. I need to, I'll speak with Chief Shields and meet these other owners and take a look at the buildings. And again, one of my biggest things is the diesel exhaust. And
Sure.
if there's a way that we're going to be able to get that transferred out of the buildings.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's very important. So,
I have a question though. Do you actually have to keep the vehicle running at certain times to heat it up, or is
No,
that what we're saying?
no. There's nothing. As long as it's inside, it's fine. So the only time we would start it up is, obviously moving it out of the building, going on a call, checking it out weekly, whatever the needs are. But no, there's no reason to keep it running inside.
Okay, great.
okay. All right, so, we're okay, Chief, with you proceeding, is that correct?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. So, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I'll do the life pack at this point.
Okay,
So I approached the Colton Foundation for a donation to the Volunteer Firefighters Charitable Society. They had a meeting in May. They're going to give us $31,500 towards a new Life Pack 35, which is needed to replace our version 2 Life Pack 15. Our Life Pack version 2, I think it has mercury in it, if I'm not mistaken, and they are not going to maintain those anymore. We might have another year on it or so, but the new Life Pack 35, I I despise the printer on it. The printer is horrible on this new Life Pack 35. I just want to pull my hair out when I even think about it. But it's with a 5-year warranty on it and service program or service 5-year service plan and everything else. It runs about $62,000. So they're willing to cover half of that cost, which is incredible for us. It's an updated Life Pack 15, what we currently have, and it'll get us, another 10 years or more into the future with cardiac monitoring and ability to serve our community in medical calls. So I would need to have permission to spend the additional out of capital reserve and the additional 30, let's say up to 35,000, and that because that'll give me, if it's 62 or 63, I don't know, I forget what the invoice exactly was, but um, if I have permission to spend up to 35,000 out of capital reserve to cover the additional cost from the 31.5 they're going to give the Volunteer Charitable Society to help us purchase that new machine. That's what I would need for this.
You want, Norm, you want to make the motion? Okay,
Great.
Norm just waved his hand, so I think that means he's made.
Agree. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, so you go ahead with that, chief, and
And the last item,
we'll look forward to it.
great, and I'll definitely show it off once we acquire that. The last item would be an interlocal agreement memorandum of understanding that I entered in with the fire marshal's office in order to do fire life safety inspections here in Point Roberts, since their personnel numbers do not allow them to get up here to Point Roberts and do that for us. This should have very positive impacts for WSRB rating to try to get us to a rating of 3 in the coming years when they come back. Right now, we're at a rating of 4. And incredible, I believe, for our community, but getting us to a 3 in the next time they come around, part of that would be being able to show that we've been doing fire life safety inspections on our commercial structures and helping those be as safe as possible. And we had to come underneath an agreement with the fire marshal's office in order to give that to Washington State Rating Bureau to show that we actually have an agreement in place to be able to provide such services to our community, where it's been the services only that the fire marshal has been able to provide in the past. But this is the first of its kind in Whatcom County. And I think other fire districts will probably follow suit in the agreement that we have now in place for our district, just so that they can get better scoring and do more for the safety of their residents and visitors while they visit or take part in our establishments here in Point Roberts. So I think it's a wonderful thing. That's just a point of information for you because it's already been completed. Sat Paul had to sign it. The fire marshal had to sign it, and it's in place. So we're working on the form right now to have our people be going out. I am a certified fire inspector myself, so I'll be a primary person doing this within our community, and I hope that the businesses will allow us to come in and just take a look and help them be safer for the patrons that are using their establishments. I think it's going to be a positive thing. So hopefully when WSRB again comes back out, they'll be able to see this and it'll help us get to a 3.
That's great, and I think we should be very thankful that you have gone forward and are able to do all these things here. We're isolated and you have filled the hole.
Yeah, and I'm glad that the fire marshal, it took a little while, but I'm glad we were able to come to a collaboration, understanding that, fire life safety is critical to both of our missions, and that they chose to give us, some leeway and provide a service that they normally provide themselves. Obviously, they'll still be the overriding umbrella. If I have any questions, I'll be reverting to them, obviously, during these processes. But my idea is not to go in and, charge people or fine people or write them up or anything like that. That's not what I'm going to be doing. That's still the job of the fire marshal. My job is to just go in and give pieces of information to the owner on how to make their building and occupancy safer.
That's great. Wonderful. Thank you. Anything else?
I understand the fire department across the border, were able to provide support when they had that fire, last week. And I think that's very remarkable.
Yeah, I'd be happy to speak to that. So I believe most of the community knows we had a large fire on the south side of Point Roberts. We lost a residence down there, but we also saved one of the exposures that was catching fire when our crews arrived. Chief Shields was in command of that scene. I'm very proud of his conduct and his ability. I was actually in Bellingham when that dropped. So you can understand my nerves went through the roof I knew I was an hour out. But Chief Shields managed the scene very well. He is a blue card trained command level officer, and that education definitely showed within this incident. So we requested Delta Fire, so there are mutual aid. We are now finalizing the international mutual aid agreement with them as well. And that is hopefully going to be done come June or by the end of May. It's currently at the mayor's office in the municipality. They're taking a look at it. I had to make two changes to it from previous versions, and those two changes came from the Gascon law firm that I hired through Brian Snur. They're a law firm out of Canada, so I wanted them to look at this agreement since it was written basically for Canadian law and protection of Delta when they come across to provide mutual aid. And they had us take out two provisions. One was the maintenance of the hydrants, and that's something that is in charge of the water district. And then there was a water distribution system, I think was the second item. Again, both were of third party um, liabilities, and we can't be held for a third party responsibility. So I asked that those both be taken out, and they're reviewing that at this time. I don't think they'll have any issues with those. I don't think that's going to be a sticking point because everything else maintained. They can charge us for their services. So the engine that did come down over the border to assist us here, they potentially could invoice us for that. And I would look back at the homeowner's insurance to pay for that. We could submit that bill to the homeowner's insurance for them to pay because there are provisions in most homeowner policies to cover fire service related expenses services. So, but it's not generally used. So most insurance policies are very confused when they receive invoices like that. And they came down. We also requested a apparatus from North Whatcom Fire Rescue. They came. The reason why we request both, obviously North Whatcom's probably close to an hour out, 45 minutes, 50 minutes in a big engine that can travel maybe 63 miles an hour. Um, Delta was here within 10 minutes of being dispatched to give us more personnel. And then North Whatcom is also dispatched, and the reason being is for personnel purposes, but also to allow Delta Fire to go back in service to their country. So we replaced them with North Whatcom units. We had a total of 18 personnel that responded to that incident from our agency over the time of that incident. Obviously, all of our volunteers are at work during the day. So we were able to get probably half a dozen to 8 personnel, probably within 20 minutes or so to that scene. And then the additional came to the scene over the next, within that hour and then over the next hour, because a fire scene like that is going to take a lot of cleanup. We have a lot of hoses to wash. We have gear to take care of. We have a lot of things that we have to do even after we leave the scene. So personnel showing up even 2 hours later is a benefit to us. So that fire was really good. We had just completed our May 3rd, 4th, I believe, burn. I think it was 3rd, 4th, Saturday, Sunday. We just had our 2 burn days up at the JIBC in Maple Ridge, British Columbia. And it was perfect timing. We had just gone through evolution after evolution of fire training up there. And then we come back home, and within a week or two, we dropped this fire here. So the members were ready. They performed exceptionally well. Very proud of them. One of the proudest moments was in the salvage. And we do salvage overhaul. Overhaul is looking for hidden fires, but salvage is actually saving personal items for the family and stuff. And the family was Canadian. They had to be called. They came down. I had a number of minutes with them to discuss the situation. Fire marshal came in hours later because she had to come from Leavenworth because we didn't have any type of other investigator here in the county. So she returned from Leavenworth from a conference that she was at. And the family was very gracious. We removed clothing, china that was irreplaceable, some personal items, and then the biggest items I would suspect would be the photo albums. They was said they were underneath the bed, and it was in the front west part of the house, and that bed had been completely consumed basically from the fire. And I sent my people in, and they were able to get probably 6 or 7 of those photo albums out, and they were completely charred, burnt in by inches and inches on the edges, and you couldn't even tell they were photo albums when they brought them out. And I said, well, let's do our best. Let's see if we can peel them apart and save any pictures that are still viable. Well, we ended up saving probably hundreds of pictures for the family that dated back 30, 40, 50 years, that they, mean a great deal. So I think one of the most important things we do after the fire is helping the family be put back together and being able to save, things that they can't replace. The house is the house, right? They had insurance. That's going to be replaced, right, or rebuilt. But personal items like photo albums, it was amazing to see the members of the agency work so hard and diligently in the backyard with a beautiful view of the ocean, peeling apart the photo albums for over an hour, if not more. And I do have pictures that I'll probably share with the newspaper, definitely probably put up on our walls at the station. But a very proud moment for me and the agency on my people understanding the true definition of servitude and community and what it means to really impact a family positively. So, yeah, we had good mutual aid, and the members of District 5, your volunteers, performed really well.
That sounds great. Um, do you know how the fire started? Is there any way to know that?
Yeah, I don't know if John has any further information from Tiffany, the fire marshal.
Hoping that I will hear from Tiffany next week. She told me it'll be about 2 weeks for her to get her, report together.
So it'll be about 2 weeks, John said, that the report will be put together. Usually things like this, when nobody's home, it's usually electrical. But most likely, I would say it's 50-50 whether it'll be determined or undetermined at this point. And they really have to be able to direct it to a specific area or to a specific point. And sometimes that's very, very hard
Yeah.
inside of a structure. But that the fire had already gone through the roof by our arrival. So none of the firefighters were going to be able to go into that structure. So we
Yeah.
fought it from the outside. We were able to get into the western exposure and get into the attic. They had some extension up in the attic. And the people that went up there did a really good job too. So yeah, at the end of the day, nobody was hurt, nobody was killed. And yeah, very, very proud of the members of the district.
That's great. Thank you. And we thank them as well. Anything else, Chief?
I'm currently in Phoenix, and it's beautiful weather down here. I'm at the Community Risk Reduction Conference. This is a yearly conference that I'll probably be coming to. I went to it last year as well. And I went to a very good lecture today about wildfires. And I'll be reaching out to the chief that did that lecture. Um, but the understanding and being fire wise and those types of things, we do have a wildfire assessment date coming up for our community that people have been signing up for. Prep will be distributing further information on that as well. It's a collaboration between Prep, the Prep group here, and the fire district. So we hope to get, 20, 30 homes assessed this summer for mitigation, for making their land and home safer to wildfire. But there's definitely new information. Um, Artificial intelligence has played a big part in that for statistical data analysis and everything else. But this lecture that I just went to before this meeting was very good, and it started me thinking on the ways that I can come back and benefit our community further, and giving some maybe educational courses to the community about helping their properties be less fire um, less fire risk.
Great. Sounds like future.
Yeah, there's a lot of technology and it's changing so rapidly. It's hard to keep up with, but I think the little things and staying to the basics will go the furthest, right? While utilizing, improvements and the AI in the future, which will be guiding a lot of what we do in the fire service.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Anything?
I think that's about it.
You have anything?
No, it's a great report. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else that you have to bring to us?
No, just want to thank everybody for being here today and for the support.
Thank you.
And all the visitors that we've had on the meeting here today. And Patty, thanks for coming up. John can take you out for dinner at the pier. But yeah, just thank everybody. And I think we have an incredible group of people and leadership by you commissioners as well, and the support that you provide us to be able to extend the best to the community that we serve. So thank you for your time as well.
And thank you for being you. We really appreciate it. Okay, if there's nothing else, I shall adjourn the meeting at 4:57 p.m. Thank you. Thank you, everybody who came.